Viva la raza. No, we doing a rest in peace. Eddie Guerrero, that was my guy. I'm your papi. But we ain't talking about that right now. First and foremost, couldn't do a live stream today because I am short on time. So I figured I'd make a quick video as it pertains to my predictions for week 2. If you don't know who I am the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. But of course, you already knew that. First and foremost, let's talk about these games that's going to transpire in week 2 because week 1 was very, very exciting. Now, granted, we may have been suffering from regular season football withdrawal, but this week's list of games look rather promising. So let's go straight down the list. First and foremost, we got to take a look at Thursday Night Football tonight battle in the NFC East because the New York Giants are traveling to take on the Washington Shirts No Skins, the Washington Redskins, the Washington football team. And this game, I actually expect it to be a defensive showdown. I don't expect to see, points lighting up the scoreboard. I think this is probably going to be a game that we only see about 3 touchdowns, maybe 4. It'd be crazy if this game mess around and it'd be a goddamn shootout between Daniel Jones and Taylor Heineke. Wouldn't that be wild? But I expect both defenses to show up and show out. Don't pay any mind to the sounds in the background. Remember, I am a professional stay-at-home son. Nevertheless, okay, here is where I think things will matter. First off, the Giants in week 1 failed to execute because all game long they drove down the field and failed to put points on the board against Denver. So this particular week, with Washington's defense performing decently last week against the and now go Chargers go, I expect that defense to be very hungry. Moreover, Chase Young did absolutely nothing last week. So I'd expect this man to say, I've got to show up with a vengeance this week. And I think he's going to get after Daniel Jones. And if there's one thing that we know about Daniel Jones, that brother is going to turn the football over. Come hell, come high water, he's putting the ball on the ground or putting the ball into the hands of an opposing player. Now, as it pertains to Washington's offense, I don't know what they're going to do. On the ground, Gibson looked okay, but then through the air with Heineke now playing quarterback and Ryan Fitzmagic, Tragic Patrick being out for at least 6 weeks. I don't know what to expect from this offense. I don't know what to expect from this offense. I'd love to sit over here and be like, man, Terry McLaurin's going to go off, but man, I don't know. I really don't know. To be honest with you, this game is going to be a defensive matchup, and both these teams have great defenses. Say what you want about the Giants, but I expect at the end of this year, the Giants will be a top 10 defense, solidified. But that offense, they're going to need a little bit of work. I think, on top of that, Saquon Barkley going to have to get going. Because if he doesn't get going, the Giants will not win this game. So, initially, I had Washington slotted to win. But I think the Giants offense will put up more points than the Washington offense. I think the Washington probably will get a touchdown on defense. I don't think they're going to score on offense. I see this as a very low-scoring game, but I got the Giants going with a huge road win over Washington. It still is a coin flip. Who knows? Maybe come this evening when I go live, I may feel a little bit different. But right now, I'm feeling the Giants. Maybe later on tonight, I may be feeling Washington, but rolling with New York. Next up, AFC East matchup. The New York Jets hosting the Lolly Lule Low New England Patriots. Let me tell you something. First and foremost, the Jets did not look terrible against the Panthers last week, but the Patriots did look very good in that second half against the Miami Dolphins. So, for that particular reason, I am rolling with the New England Patriots to win this game on the road, walking into MetLife Stadium and withdrawing a W. First and foremost, Damian Harris, you can't put the football on the ground. You ran for 100 yards last week. I expect this man to perform at the exact same level. Why? Because Chris McCaffrey decimated that Jets defense for nearly 200 yards his goddamn self. Okay, now granted, he's a top, 3 running back in the league. However, I expect the Patriots to go out there and perform. Mac Jones looked all right. Did not look bad. He looked all right. He looked very poised. Didn't look like he was afraid of the moment. I expect the Patriots to go and get the job done. And defensively, I think they're going to give Zach Wilson hell. Why? Because Bill Belichick coaching against rookie quarterbacks, this man has always been superior. I think he's only lost, 2 times in the last 15 some years? It's ridiculous. I'll never choose a rookie quarterback playing against Bill Belichick. Now, granted, they ain't got no Tom Brady at the helm. It's Mac Jones at the helm, but still, that Patriot defense is still under Bill Belichick, and I'm never going to pick against Bill Belichick coaching against a rookie quarterback. I expect the Patriots to win this game. Score prediction, I wish I could give it to you. I'm not really feeling one right now, but I got the Patriots winning that game. Next, the Broncos taking on the Jaguars. I'd love to sit here and say I'm feeling the Jags in this game. I can't say it. I cannot say it because Teddy Bridgewater played mistake-free football last week. I like what Denver is looking like on defense. Now, granted, they played against the Giants, but still, this is going to be a little bit of I wouldn't say a tougher test, if you will. I think you're looking at a better quarterback with Trevor Lawrence versus playing against Daniel Jones last week, but I don't see why Denver should lose this game. Jacksonville is very young. They fell behind against a Texans team that I don't think we all predicted to perform at the level that they performed at. So I think Denver should be able to walk away with this W. I don't see a situation where Jacksonville can create the pressure to get after Teddy Bridgewater or have the defense to slow down, Melvin Gordon and company. The defense of Denver, I don't see why Von Miller doesn't have himself a day against Jacksonville. I think Denver wins this game. I wouldn't say big, but probably by like a 2-touchdown separation. Y'all let me know if y'all believing in Jacksonville for week 2, because honestly, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Trevor Lawrence may perform a little bit better than he did. I don't expect him to throw 3 interceptions, but I do think he will throw a pick. Will it be returned for a pick 6? That's yet to be seen, but I got Denver winning. Then we got the Bills and the Dolphins. Redemption for the Bills. They're definitely going to want to go and get themselves a W, and to be honest with you, I think they'll be able to pull that off. All right. Now, it all starts on offense for the Bills because they've got to establish that run game. Last week, Devin Singletary didn't necessarily, I almost said Mike Singletary. Devin Singletary ain't go out there and, shred the Steelers on the ground. He had one great positive drive, but outside of that, he didn't really do too much. Like I stated earlier, Damian Harris against the Dolphins last week ran for 100 yards, so there's no reason why Singletary shouldn't be able to replicate that exact same performance. Josh Allen is very exceptional. We already know this brother is a hell of a quarterback, but it shouldn't have to be the Josh Allen show every single week. You shouldn't go out there and have to throw the football 50 sometimes in order to go and win a game. It's ridiculous. Have a balanced attack, and there's no reason why they shouldn't win this game. Now, don't get me wrong. The Dolphins, they look okay. All right, but I think the Bills will be able to bring a little bit of pressure behind, on Tua. And then I'm curious to see how this secondary plays against this young Dolphins wide receiver front. I think the Bills are going to get the better of the Dolphins in this particular game. But I think it's going to be relatively close for the third quarter. And then in the fourth, the Bills are going to freaking explode. They'll probably have a turnover for a touchdown, and they'll mess around and score on offense. It'll be a game that was probably separated by about 3 points to a touchdown, and all of a sudden it ends up being a game with a 17-point spread. I got the Bills winning this particular game. Tua is fixing to go out there and turn the ball over. That's exactly what I expect to see. I think he's probably going to put the ball on the ground, whether it be an interception or a fumble late in the game, and he'll probably have a turnover early on in the game. I think he's going to put the ball on the ground at least twice and give it back to the Buffalo Bills. And if you turn the football over against the Bills, they will make you pay. I got Bills Mafia winning their very first game of the season in Miami. Next, the 49ers and the Eagles. This is a very tricky one because the Eagles looked very exceptional in week 1, but they played against the Falcons. The 49ers looked magnificent in week 1, but they played against Detroit. Now, granted, this is the NFL. These guys are professionals. You better show up with your lunch pail at work and go to work. But the 49ers didn't really close. The Eagles, they took care of business. But I think the 49ers are going to walk away with the W here. I think the 49ers going to walk away with the W here. And this game is going to be played in Philly. I think the 49ers going to walk away with the W here. Now, I don't expect Garoppolo to go out there and have himself a huge day, but I think it's going to be a situation where his numbers aren't going to reflect the quarterback play. I think the yards after the catch is going to be on display this game. I expect to see George Kittle go out there and have his 100-yard day. I want to see, Ayuk, especially after you had Kyle Shanahan in the media talking about, he's going to have to play a little bit better. So I expect that brother to have a fire underneath him. Then, on top of that, Deebo Samuel could not be covered at all when he played against Detroit last week. I expect that brother to go and have the exact same kind of performance. Well, maybe not the exact same where you had 189 yards, but I expect him to have a dominant performance as well. But for Philly, Jalen Hurts looked very, very, very good. But I'm concerned about how he's going to look under duress with this, pass rush coming from the 49ers. I'm curious to see how he's going to play. He's going to be under a lot of pressure. The brother only had, 5 starts? So this is going to be start number 6. The 49ers got some headhunters back there. I really want to see how Jalen Hurts looks this particular game. I don't expect the 49ers to go and dominate. I think this is going to be a very close kind of game, probably between 3 points to 7 points as the spread here. But I got the 49ers winning. But I'm very curious about how Philly plays this game. If Philly goes out there, takes care of business, Jalen Hurts under duress still has himself a very productive game, we might have to start looking at the Eagles like, yo, wait a minute now. I know they in the NFC East, but they may have something going, especially because Jalen Hurts showcases he's poised and he's not concerned about the pass rush whatsoever and plays a very good game. We might have to look at the Eagles a little bit different. But I got the 49ers winning this game. Next up, Rams and the Colts. You know what's crazy about this? I think we might just have ourselves an upset alert. Despite the fact that we just watched the Colts get torched by Russell Wilson. Every single pass down the field felt as if it was going for a touchdown. And you just saw Matthew Stafford find Cooper Kupp down the field like it was nothing. Van Jefferson down the field like it's nothing. And Deshaun Jackson is lining up at wide receiver as well. You think he's not going to take the top off the defense for Indianapolis? Like, there is no reason why I should choose the goddamn Rams to lose this game. But for some odd particular reason, I'm feeling like Jonathan Taylor's going to have a game on the ground. I'm feeling like there's going to be a run game explosion for the Indianapolis Colts that opens up the door to make this game much closer than it should be. And it's going to come down to Rodrigo Blankenship making a field goal, whether that's on the last play of the game or in overtime to mess around and win this game. And listen, I know how crazy it sounds. It's ridiculous, but it's football. It's literally any given Sunday. I don't know why I feel this way about the Rams losing. I actually have the Rams slotted to go represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. But for some apparent reason, I'm feeling like the Colts go pull an upset. I don't know why. There's no redeemable reason as to why they should win this particular game. But I'm feeling upset alert. I'm sorry, Rams fans. I'm sorry, football fans who have if I'm not mistaken, the Rams are number 1 on the power rankings. No, I think they're number 3. Whatever the case may be. Where they either 1, 2, or 3. But for some apparent reason, I'm feeling upset alert. I think after watching the way that Montgomery ran on the ground and seeing how Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines, and company, they struggled on the ground against, Seattle last week. I don't know why. I'm just feeling like these guys gonna have an eruption on the ground. They playing at home. The Rams is on the road. I don't know, son. I don't know. I'm feeling like the Colts gonna win. It really don't make sense to me. I hope that reality smacks me in the face, and then when game time comes, I'm like, you know what? The Rams got it. But who knows? I'm rolling with the Colts. Upset alert. You always got to get it upset. There it is. Bengals and the Bears. This is going to be an interesting one. Because the Bengals got themselves a huge win over Minnesota, but we cannot sit over here and ignore the fact that, of course, there was a blown call towards the end of the game. But then again, we didn't really see if the ball was loose or not with Dalvin Cook. But it was Minnesota that cost themselves with 12 penalties against Cincinnati. I'm not too sure if the Bears are going to do the exact same thing. Now, granted, the Bears drove down the field damn near all game against the Rams. But every time they got into Los Angeles territory, they failed to convert. So I'm curious to see what their execution is going to be like going down the field. Now, the Bears defense, I expect them to show up against Cincinnati. I think that Cincinnati's offensive line isn't better than the Rams offensive line. So maybe Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, those guys can really, get going this particular week. So I think I'm going to feel comfortable taking the Bears to win at home in the Windy City against Cincinnati, but expect this game to be rather close. I think you're going to see a couple of surprising long touchdowns from Joe Burrow, whether that's to, a Jamar Chase or whether that's to a T. Higgins, whoever the case may be. I think Burrow's not going to play terrible, but I think his offensive line will fail him this particular game. Khalil Mack, I expect him to be a game wrecker and have himself a game. So I'm choosing the Bears to win this game. I think it's going to be probably about a 10-point spread. Bears probably win this game like 20-10 or something like that. But I got the Bears winning. Browns and Texans. Browns playing at home. They're at the Dog Pound. The Texans coming off a huge surprise win against Jacksonville. But the Browns, they really just blew it. They needed to get their, get the reality checked. They thought, oh man, we beating the Chiefs through through 3 quarters and a couple minutes. We go into the Super Bowl. And then all of a sudden, the only Super Bowl they went to was the toilet bowl. So they got to make sure they get back on track. I think they'll take care of business against the Texans. I think they'll give to Tyrod Taylor hell, in the backfield with those guys, get Clowney and Myles Garrett. They're going to be getting after Tyrod Taylor all day. Mark Ingram, Phillip Lindsay, and David Johnson on the ground. I don't expect them to do too much. I think we're going to see a situation where the Browns go out there and they have themselves a great offensive performance. On top of that, I think Nick Chubb will run, circles around that around that Houston defense. I almost said Jacksonville because I was thinking about Houston. But they're going to run circles around that Houston defense. I do not see a circumstance in which the Browns lose this game. Unless, of course, Baker, walks into, Cleveland's pastry shop and cooks up apple turnovers. If this brother is, as long as he holds on to the football, this should not be a game. Now, Houston fans, I know you're like, hey man, they're sleeping on us, man. But listen, come on now. The Browns is a much more superior team between the two of you guys. You guys beat Jacksonville last week. The Browns lost against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Browns going to walk away with their first W of the season at home in the Dog Pound against the Houston Texans. Carolina and New Orleans. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. First and foremost, you're dealing with a divisional opponent. You got bad blood between the two teams. Jameis Winston threw for 5 touchdowns last week. Christian McCaffrey damn near had 200 yards of total offense by his goddamn self. This is a very confusing game to try to gauge because the Saints completely destroyed the Packers, but I'm not too sure if that says more about the Saints or more about the failure of execution on the Packers side. One way or another, I think I'm going to choose the Saints to win this particular game. Do I expect Christian McCaffrey to go and have the same kind of performance that he had last week against the Saints this week? No. I think the Saints are going to put themselves in a situation where they, take away the run game of Christian McCaffrey. But he's going to have to show up in the pass game, which he usually ends up doing anyway. He's going to mess around and be their leading receiver. But Sam Darnold is going to be under a whole lot of pressure, and I think he's going to turn the football over. And when he turns the football over, that spells disaster for the Carolina Panthers. I think Jameis Winston, after getting that LASIK eye surgery, he's going to make sure he continues to make the right decisions and doesn't turn the football over. He's going to be looking at the end zone like it's some crab legs, and he's going to be stealing some touchdowns. I think he throws for 3 this upcoming Sunday afternoon and gives the Saints another much-needed victory. I think they move on to 2-0 in Carolina. Vikings and Cardinals. This is an interesting one. Okay, because the Vikings cannot afford to fall behind like they did last week. And if they do, I don't think they'll catch up. And that's exactly what I think is going to transpire. They're going to fall behind early, and once again, they're going to try to play catch up. But the problem is they can't keep up with that Cardinals offense. I think Arizona is going to win big over Minnesota. Minnesota going to drop down to 0-2. I think the Cardinals offense is going to be amongst the best in the league. Top 2, top 3, if you will. I do not see Patrick Peterson being able to guard, DeAndre Hopkins, because you saw time and time again on film. Don't get me wrong. Patrick Peterson isn't washed. He's just not a top corner in the league anymore. And I expect him in his return to Arizona to not really have a very good time. Okay? Because I think that Cardinals offense is going to explode. And on defense, my God, somebody better block Chandler Jones. They better roll over the goddamn protection to try to stop Chandler Jones. He better be double teamed the whole day. But guess what that means? You're going to leave one-on-one with J.J. Watt. But he didn't have a good game last week. On the stat sheet, maybe because you didn't see a lot of you didn't see a lot of tackles, you didn't see a lot of sacks, then you thought, man, JJ didn't have a very good game. That brother was getting penetration left and right, and guess what? He's going to have himself a game against Minnesota. I got the Cardinals winning this game. Big over Minnesota. Falcons, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay going to destroy them. Next, we got the Titans taking on the Seahawks. This is going to be very interesting. All right, this is going to be very interesting, okay? Because we're in a situation where the Titans took a huge L last week against Arizona, right? And now you're playing against a Seattle team that didn't appear to have issues against Indianapolis. So now you got to figure out, like, yo, the Titans aren't as bad as their performance last week. They just ran into a team that, let's just be honest, it didn't look like they were prepared at all. Titans defense has been suspect for quite some time. So if you couldn't guard DeAndre Hopkins at all in the first half, you couldn't stop Christian Kirk from going down the field in the second half. You couldn't stop Kyler Murray from being able to utilize his legs last week. You think you about to come in on the road and take care of Russell Wilson in Lumen Stadium with the 12s going crazy? Hell no. This game will be won and lost if Derrick Henry doesn't get going for the Titans, because I do not see their defense slowing down the Seattle Seahawks. If this becomes a Ryan Tannehill show and now all of a sudden you got to trust this man to go out there and sling the ball without the help of the security blanket, Derrick Henry on the ground, you're not going to have a good time. Now, granted, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, those guys are exceptional. Like I was saying, because my goddamn battery died. Turns out you say something bad about, Henry's team. You know, he's somehow going to activate some kind of genjutsu that puts you in a situation where your camera's battery died. But nevertheless, Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, those guys are exceptional. I expect Ryan Tannehill to be able to get those guys to football. But if they're falling behind against Seattle, they will not be able to play catch-up. This game needs to remain close. Derrick Henry has to get going if the Titans want to be able to win this game, because I do not expect that defense to slow down Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf vertically down the field. I think Russell Wilson may just have the exact same performance he did in week 1, the same way he's planning to do in week 2. I don't think they're going to slow that man down. Like, this man is the most accurate passer in the league right now. Drew Brees has since retired. He has taken the mantle, and that guy throws the best deep ball in the NFL, and I think it's fixing to continue this upcoming week. I got Seattle winning at home. Tennessee is going to mess around and fall to 0-2. Now, don't get me wrong, Tighten Up Nation. Don't get me wrong. All right, I still feel like the Titans going to be a force this particular year. But my God, that defense, y'all got to get it together. And I don't think y'all going to get it together this week against the Seattle Seahawks. Next up, Cowboys and the Chargers. And now, no Chargers. No, because I think Dallas played a very good game in week 1 against Tampa. I think against the Chargers, they're going to respond. This is a make or break game for Zeke Elliott. I understand it's just week 2, but this is a make or break game for Zeke Elliott. Last week played piss poor. Outside of pass protection, he played piss poor against Tampa. There is no reason why you shouldn't be able to get going against Los Angeles here. He needs to get going. This game is all about Zeke. I'm not concerned about Dak, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, who I think is not playing, if I'm not mistaken, CeeDee Lamb, that defense, which DeMarcus Lawrence, they just lost him to a broken foot yesterday. But I don't think any of that is what's on the marquee. It's Ezekiel Elliott. That brother has to get going. Bottom line, if Dallas wants to win. Now, if you're the Chargers, you've got to make sure you protect Justin Herbert. They've got to figure out what they're trying to do on the ground. Although Eckler, he's not bad. He's just not something that's, we got a game plan. Austin Eckler, he going to get going. Like, I don't feel like that's the case. Okay, so Herbert, he's got some, weapons on the outside. But as far as I'm concerned, this is about Dallas. This whole game is about Dallas, and I think they're going to actually rise to the occasion. Expect to see Skip Bayless, Michael Irvin, and all kinds of SpongeBobs left and right coming out talk about we go into the Super Bowl, because they're going to have themselves a performance and bounce back and get their first victory of the season. If they lose, Cowboys Nation, y'all be having a bad time. Next up, Kansas City, Baltimore, Sunday Night Football. This is going to be a fun one, but it's going to be the exact same result that we've seen the last 3 times. Kansas City fixing to win. Kansas City is fixing to win. Why? Because Baltimore is going to need to run the football if they want to make this a game. We all know how Baltimore plays. If that run game is completely nullified and you just trust in Lamar Jackson to be able to throw the football to win you this game, you're not going to have a good time. Kansas City's offense is ridiculous. Like I stated on my post-game analysis for week 1, they are the most score-irrelevant team in NFL history. It don't matter what the score is, you better watch out. This offense is going to take advantage, and I expect them to do so come Sunday night. First and foremost, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, if those 2 guys get going, if they get anywhere near over 100 yards, this game is over. This game is over. You saw how those guys, they struggled. Or I should say how the Ravens struggled to cover Darren Waller all goddamn night. If they couldn't stop Waller, you think they about to stop Kelce? Hell no. Now, if they have to keen in on Kelce, who the hell you going to leave one-on-one with Tyreek Hill? Marlon Humphrey's amongst the best corners in the league. He is. He is. But my God, how much longer do you expect this man to have to keep chasing around Tyreek Hill? More on top of that, you got a McCole Hardman over there who can utilize speed as well. I think Mahomes is going to throw for a shit ton of yards. Derek Carr threw for 435. I think Mahomes might throw for 402. I don't think he's going to throw for more than 500, but I think he's going to throw for like 402 because this man's going to be finding people left and right. Baltimore is going to have a rough start to the season. They will bounce back, but they're going to have a rough start to the season. Because if Kansas City starts scoring straight out of the gate, and Baltimore got to play catch up to where you take that run game out of it, and now your primary running back, which is already Lamar Jackson now, but it's going to have to be Lamar utilizing his feet to go and make plays, man, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to have a bad time. I don't expect Kansas City's defense to be, the difference maker and, all of the pressure that's coming from the pass rush to be able to, that's what's going to slow down Baltimore. No, I don't think that's the case. I think it's going to be a situation of Baltimore's defense failing to slow down Kansas City's offense, and that's going to be the difference maker. But don't get me wrong. Baltimore better figure out how to fucking block up front because, Ronnie Stanley played much better than Villanueva, but Villanueva, that's a liability at right tackle. So y'all better figure something out, because if they start putting in some stunts where Chris Jones is running around from the middle at D tackle and running around to the end, and he's coming off on the right, there ain't no way that brother's not gonna make it to Lamar Jackson. So you better figure out a blocking scheme. The offensive line need to show up to block for Lamar Jackson, but I got the Kansas City Chiefs winning on the road. Monday Night Football, Packers and Lions. This is going to be an interesting game, okay, because both teams ain't have a single W. More importantly, the Lions looked way more impressive on Sunday than the Packers did, because the Packers got absolutely decimated, butt fuck, necrophilia, all kinds of vile things transpired. But I think pissed off Aaron Rodgers is going to show off in this particular game, and they're going to have themselves a hell of a performance. Moreover, every time they play against Detroit, there's usually some controversy, but then whichever way it goes, it ends up being in Green Bay's favor. So I got Green Bay winning that game, and last but not least, Pittsburgh and Las Vegas. I'll say this. This is going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be a hell of a battle. I'm not going to, my bias may always stand with the Steelers, but the bottom line is if Pittsburgh can't slow down Darren Waller, they're going to have a bad time. If they cannot get to Hunter Renfrow, they're going to have a bad time. If that defense cannot exploit, Alex Leatherwood at right tackle and TJ Watt doesn't have a performance like Chandler Jones had last week, you're going to have a bad time. It's the Steelers defense that needs to set the tone. They need to set the tone because the offense, Big Ben is a better passer than Lamar Jackson is. And moreover, the Ravens ran for 189 yards on the ground last week. I expect Pittsburgh to at least run for 120 on the ground this week. Need to. Najee Harris, this needs to be the breakout game for you. This needs to be the breakout game for you. And the Steelers' offensive line, you're about to get you're about to get tested. Because you got Max Crosby, who simply felt like he was in the backfield all doggone day. And then Carl Nassib went out there and got the game-winning, forced fumble that set up Derek Carr to be able to throw the game-winning touchdown. So this is going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be a hell of a game, but I think it's going to be the defense the defenses that set the tone. It's less about the offenses in this game. It's more about the defenses. And those are my picks for week 2. Let me run down who I got winning. Once again, we're going to start out tonight. Got the Giants winning on the road in Washington, but that may change at one particular point. New England on the road. Denver on the road. Buffalo on the road. The 49ers on the road. The Colts winning at home. Upset alert against the Rams. I'm still, I need to make sense of it. Y'all, the Colts better go and prove me right. I got the Bears winning at home. The Browns winning at home. The Saints on the road. The Cardinals winning at home. The Buccaneers destroying the motherfucking Falcons. Then the Seahawks winning at home. The Cowboys on the road. The Chiefs on the road. The Packers at home. And the Steelers winning at home. Let me know in the comment section who you guys got winning in week 2, and you can leave a little bit of comments as to why you feel certain teams are winning. We can have a little bit of dialogue. But I have been your host of the week 2 prediction show, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical, individual, the Chiseled Adonis. I'm headed back to the shadow realm. Latino Heat.